I'm Caroline Laborde from Money Mindset Accelerator, and I hope you're having an awesome day. Today, I'd like to speak to you about how making more money will not clear your money blocks. So there's a common misconception out there that making money is going to solve all of your problems. And I know this firsthand because I went through this myself. So throughout the course of my career and, even in business, I was always chasing more money, thinking, well, if I can just make that, that next bit of money, life would be amazing. If I could double my salary, I'd have no more problems. And actually throughout my career, I doubled my salary several times over. And I'll tell you honestly, it didn't solve my money problems until I learned what money blocks were and how to clear them. I just found ways to get into, bigger money problems. So really your money blocks have to do with your relationship with money. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that if you have any fear or panic or guilt around money, and this can happen at all different levels throughout your life and at different levels of success, then if you're experiencing those negative feelings around your interactions with money, then that is an absolute sign that you have some money blocks there that need to be cleared. And so, in the pursuit of trying to make more money and sort of solve all of life's problems financially, one of the things that people do is constantly chase skills. And while there is definitely a place to, upskill and be really good at your craft, and I'm certainly an advocate of, making sure you're delivering excellent value to your clients, and that, you really stay at the top of your game, that on its own is not the solution to your money blocks. And the reason for that is because acquiring skills can definitely help you to, make more money. You can become better at what you do. You can charge more for your services. You can make more money as an employee as you get more skilled. But the thing is, your relationship with money has a lot more to do with all the types of money. So it's not just income. So, income is only one aspect. So even if you manage to make more money, you can always spend more money. So you can make that money disappear as quickly as it comes in. And, you can also get into debt, which means that you don't actually keep money at the end of the day. So, having a good money mindset is ultimately all about how much money you keep. So how you go about building your wealth portfolio. But even beyond that, I would say it's more to do with your money energy. So how you feel about money. Because I actually work with people who are really successful, have a lot of money, have a lot of investments, and still feel like complete crap around money. Like they feel guilty making it, they feel guilty having it, and they actually end up living their lives like they're, a poor person who doesn't have the money because they have never worked out how to have that energy where you can comfortably handle money. So what I want you to realize is that, money blocks have a way of following you around. And, it doesn't matter what level of success that you're at. So, if you're feeling like, you're really not getting anywhere because you're not making the money that you want, then I can absolutely help you address that. But, rest assured that even if you made that money blocks would still show up in other ways, as I've described, through your expenses, through debt. But it also starts to hit people in other ways. So you could go on to become an investor. And, when you have more money, and particularly with investments, you can bring about much higher levels of debt. And if you don't have a sound money mindset at that level, then, you can get yourself into like really deep shit, basically. That's a lot harder to manage than the kind of problems that you have when, you don't have much money to begin with. And so, what it all really begins with is having a sound money mindset. And so if you are at those early stages, like you're trying to get your business off the ground, this is an excellent opportunity to start working on your money mindset because you can really start with those basics. So, you want to get into the flow of how to make money, but you also want to learn how to save. And I can appreciate that if you're not making much money, there's probably not much there to save. And if you've got debt, then that is absolutely the number one thing that you want to start with. You want to clear that debt, but more importantly, you want to learn how to neutralize the toxic energy that keeps you in debt. So really, all in all, it's about having really good energy around money. And out of that will come your good money habits that will follow you throughout your path of success. Because what you need to learn to do is to master your money mindset as your success evolves. Because all that happens, as you start to make more money and you become more successful, everything that you do gets magnified. So if you haven't dealt with your money blocks, then that will get magnified too, and you'll find even bigger ways to lose the money and get yourself into financial trouble. So interestingly, I was having a chat just last week with a really successful businessman, and we were talking about some of his clients that I'm going to be working with shortly. And he works in the field of investments, and we were talking about the different ways that people get hit by money blocks. So one example is that there will be people who financially are in a position where they're eligible to invest, maybe in property or in shares. And so they'll go about and do that, but by doing so, it brings on lots of fear and panic and anxiety around money that already existed before they went on to become investors. But, entering into that transaction really brings those fears to the surface. And so you have a lot of people that end up finding ways to sabotage those investments, and they end up having to cash out. Some people end up losing the money. And in a lot of cases, there are people who quite possibly could go on to get a second investment, but the emotional burden, so the fear and panic around that, is just too much. And so they'd never consider doing that. And so, even having the money there isn't the answer if you haven't dealt with those money blocks. So, my suggestion really is that you start working on your money blocks if you feel that you have them at, whatever level you're at. And so who does this apply to? I mean, quite simply, if you feel that you don't have a good relationship with money, like in any form, if the idea of either spending money, making money, any debt, anything like that, if it makes you feel maybe a little sick in the stomach or, a bit fearful, then there's quite possibly some money blocks there that need to be worked through. And also another sign that there are money blocks there is if you have a recurring issue with money that keeps popping up. So, debt is the classic example of this. So if you get into debt, maybe you manage to pay it down, then you get into debt again, and that cycle has been repeating for years, then there's probably something there that needs to be worked on. And same goes for people, who say, yeah, I'm a terrible saver. So it's not that at the core you're a terrible saver, it's that your money mindset has probably led you to develop bad habits around saving. And, the way around that, like, yes, you could start to, just put money aside, but I'm sure you've tried that and it hasn't worked out. So the thing really to look at is to start addressing the money blocks that are causing you to behave in that way. And so if you feel that any of that applies to you and, you want help working through that, I'm actually about to kick off the next cycle of my Money Mindset Accelerator bootcamp. So it's an 8-week bootcamp that I run, and basically I take my clients through an entire process of diagnosing all of their money blocks, and then we start peeling back all the layers of the onion, and we work through all kinds of self-limiting beliefs that stop people having a great relationship with money. So if that resonates with you and you'd like some more information and some help working through your money blocks, then just leave me a comment below or send me a message and I will reach out to you and we can have a chat about it and see if the Money Mindset Bootcamp is a good fit for you. So that's it from me today. Thank you for watching. I'm Caroline Labor and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.